Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for May 19th, Cane Day. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your viewership and support. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. This was a setup for this Saturday's main event, Saturday night's main event, of course, NBC and Peacock. That will be Saturday, though. Raw kicked off with the number one contender for his match with Jey Uso this Saturday. Everybody's favorite, Logan Paul. Shout out to D. Martin 5th, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, great show tonight and happy May 19th, Cane. That's right. You better be careful. It's Cane Day, although it is close to the end of the day. But we still have about an hour left as I do this stream. You never know where Jacob Goodnight is lurking. Logan Paul came out there, cut a heel promo to hype up the match with Jey. The crowd, instead of whatting him, was yeeting him, saying yeet after every word he said. I like that. I like the fact that the crowd was using Jey's word and not what. Gunther came out there and interrupted. Gunther got the "you tapped out" chants, and he did praise Logan Paul, said maybe there were some things Logan Paul could teach him. However, he said that while Logan as champion would be great for business, the problem with that is it would take away Gunther being able to beat Jey for the title. Gunther said it's personal between him and Jey, and if Gunther doesn't get to beat Jey, he will feel disrespected, and he will eat Logan alive when they finally have their match for the world title, and that's coming up in 3 weeks. Jey then showed up. Gunther had left the ring. Jey laid out Logan Paul with a super kick. And we'll talk about the follow-up to this later on. We saw footage of Adam Pearce officially signing Roxanne Perez to the Monday Night Raw roster. More on that in just a little bit. I did like the opening segment, by the way. Nice little setup. People were thinking, well, wait a minute. Jey Uso laid out Logan Paul. What does that mean? But stay tuned. Backstage, Paul Heyman said that Bron Breakker wasn't looking for Jey's title, but rather looking to slow down Jey's momentum. Heyman was saying this to Jey, and Heyman made it clear that whoever is champion, it's all short term because the long-term plan is for Seth freaking Rollins to be the world heavyweight champion. Thank you to everybody watching live, by the way. We got JJ Williams in the house. Shout out to JJ. We had our first match of the evening, Penta and AJ Styles going up against Finn Balor and JD McDonagh. Hot crowd for this match. Hot crowd for this show. Greenville, as I mentioned on X, one of the better WWE crowds in the U.S. in quite some time. They were really into AJ Styles. Another one of those crowds where they were reacting like a good crowd should. They were chanting for the good guys, booing the bad guys, not trying to hijack the show with their own crazy chants. They were just into the show. They were into the matches, into the characters. It was what a crowd should be. Now, this was a fun match we had here. I like how Penta and AJ Styles had matching gear, by the way. Both of them wearing the red and white. You had the typical outside interference from Carlito, and then at one point, JD McDonagh accidentally hit Finn Balor with a top rope frog splash. Carlito threw Styles into the ring post, but then Penta came back in, went back and forth with Finn Balor. Penta then got the upper hand, but then JD McDonagh had a steel chair. Carlito got involved. Styles took out Carlito, and then JD McDonagh was laid out by Penta with the Mexican Destroyer on the floor. Then we had interference from El Grande Americano, who headbutted Penta with the loaded mask, and then Balor was able to finish off Penta with the coup de grace, got the 1-2-3 victory. Feels like it's been a while since Finn Balor won a match on Monday Night Raw. It was solid stuff, predictable with the interference, but it was noted that Dominic Mysterio not out there to help out. We'll have to see where this goes, but we do have Worlds Collide coming up, so maybe that's when we finally get El Grande Americano unmasked. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Backstage, we had a little confrontation between Becky Lynch and the women's champion Io Sky. Becky said that she has no problem putting down another champion. And then we had Seth Rollins backstage with Logan Paul saying that Jey will not be 100% at Saturday night's main event. Rollins said he'll be waiting eventually, and maybe one day they can run back Rollins versus Logan Paul, but this time it would be for the World Heavyweight Championship. We then had our first triple threat match, Money in the Bank qualifier, Becky Lynch versus Roxanne versus Natalya. You pretty much know who's taking the fall in this one. The person who did not get an entrance. Becky wanted to form a union with Roxanne, but then quickly turned against her. Natalya did get in some offense. She stretched Becky. She went for the sharpshooter, but Becky countered it with a disarm her. Roxanne was able to break things up. We had a commercial break, and then Becky took out Roxanne with the manhandle slam, but that pin got broken up. Natalya then gave Roxanne a superplex. Roxanne, though, was able to kick out. Natalya put on the sharpshooter. Becky broke that up, and then Natalya put on a double sharpshooter, but they were able to get out of that. And then Becky hit the manhandle slam to Natalya. But then we had Lyra Valkyria show up. She attacked Becky, and then Roxanne was able to finish off Natalya with the Pop Rocks. Pretty good match here. Roxanne, I think the right person to get the win. We keep the Lyra and Becky Lynch storyline going on. Good stuff here. We'll see what happens with Lyra and Becky. Maybe Becky does end up getting the women's IC championship, I should say. We had Chad Gable backstage basically taunting Tozawa because Tozawa is facing Rusev on next week's show. And we also had the tag team champions New Day having a little chat with Gable. Next week, it's a three-way for the titles. New Day defending against the Creeds and the War Raiders. And we also had a little segment with Sami Zayn telling Jey Uso that he would have Jey's back. We then had a singles match, Sheamus versus Grayson Waller. I thought this was a pretty entertaining match. Sheamus always delivers. Hard-hitting match with these guys. Waller tried to hit and run. He smacked Sheamus and then retreated. Sheamus would get fired up, and he was chopping the shit out of Grayson Waller. Waller was able to regain the upper hand. He hit the rolling flatliner, but Sheamus kicked out of that. And Waller made the mistake of trying to steal Sheamus's 10 beats. That did not work out. And Waller attempted to leave, but Theory stopped Waller from escaping. Sheamus was able to give Waller the 10 beats, and then Sheamus got the win over Grayson Waller. It was a fun match. They're continuing the Waller and Theory storyline. I don't know if it's going to have any kind of an end to it, but we'll see. Maybe they'll finally pull the trigger on the Theory babyface turn. But yeah, I mean, they've been starting and stopping with this for the longest time. So I really feel like they gotta do something here and pull the trigger on the split. They had a segment with, I believe, NBA player. Hopefully I did not butcher that. Tyrese Halliburton. And they announced that he is going to be in the WWE 2K25 game. I'm sure if you're a fan of his, you thought this was cool. I'm totally indifferent to it. So didn't mean anything to me. But if you're a fan of his, I'm happy for you. Backstage, Seth Rollins approached Gunther, and Gunther said that Rollins is not the long game, but Rollins said that Gunther will be a target if he wins the title, and Gunther was very eager for that to happen. He will eagerly await Seth Rollins coming to him and trying to target him. We then had another women's triple threat match, Rhea Ripley versus the returning Kairi Sane versus Zoey Stark. Now, earlier in the show, we saw footage of all three women. Kairi got a good reaction. Zoey got no reaction. And Rhea got a massive pop. And then she got an even bigger reaction when she came out for this match. I mean, she is the top dog in WWE right now. I mean, you have people screaming for her. And not too many wrestlers get that kind of reaction. It's like a rock star, like the Beatles or Taylor Swift today, where you just got people screaming when they come out there. That's the kind of level of superstar that Rhea Ripley is at. But unfortunately, the story of this match was Zoey Stark getting injured. Zoey was going for a missile drop kick to Kairi, and the timing of it was off. Zoey landed awkwardly, hurt her knee. People think she blew out her knee, and the match was pretty much just stopped dead in its tracks. You had officials coming out there, and during the break, they helped her to the back. I think one of the trainers or the ringside doctor, somebody had to actually pick up Zoey and help carry her to the back. So that's pretty rough. And I wish her the best. I hope this isn't the end for her, but it's not looking good. You know, her two partners get released from the company, and now she gets hurt again, and she has a history of injuries. Yeah, it's not looking good for her. I mean, this could be sadly a career-ending injury for her. I don't know if she comes back from this, and if the company will invest in her, knowing her history with injuries. It's going to be a really uphill battle for her. But I'm wishing her the best. Hopefully she can come back, and maybe her recovery will get her over with fans. Never say never. But yeah, my best wishes out to her. It sucks. It's terrible when something like this happens. The match had to go on. They turned it into a singles encounter, and I think they did the best they could under the circumstances. They had a couple of cool moments in this one. Kairi came off the top, and Rhea just caught her with a drop kick, and then Kairi tried the insane elbow. Rhea got her feet up, and then Rhea was able to pin her with the riptide, and I'm thinking, Zoey was probably going to be the one that took the fall in this, but they had to come up with something else. Rhea gets the win. I don't think that Kairi would have been pinned in her first match back. Rhea wins. She's entering Money in the Bank, so they're adding some star power to that one. We had a Rusev promo to hype up his match with Tozawa for next week. He said that Tozawa's an ungrateful little man and his arrogance is going to get him slaughtered next week. But Rusev said he'll forgive his stupidity and his existence. I like how they're doing all this hype for Rusev versus Tozawa. I guess the idea of seeing Tozawa get absolutely annihilated is something that will hook in viewers. I guess we'll see. That's next week. We had a backstage segment. I guess Finn Balor wants Roxanne Perez in the Judgment Day. But Liv was not there, and Dominic felt like they should run this by Liv first. Raquel then brought in a few gifts. She had food. She had chicken tendies, or in this case, chicken nuggets for Dominic, and some apples for Carlito. Raquel was not amused by this at all and said that Liv is definitely going to hear about this. Now, this definitely felt like Finn Balor trying to cause trouble in the group. He's the troublemaker here. I really don't think this is Finn Balor going face. I think this is Dominic going face. Dominic's going to do the right thing, but I think this is going to lead to a split in the group with Balor pulling the strings. And Carlito's just, the goofball for the ride. But yeah, I thought this was a fun little segment here. We had our main event of the evening, which was Jey Uso, the world champion, versus Bron Breakker in a non-title match. Good match here with these two. They have their history going back to last year. It was back and forth. Bron Breakker did dominate a pretty good deal of the match, pretty good part of it. But then after he hit a bulldog to Jey coming off the apron onto the table, Jey was able to make his comeback. Crowd was into this. They were chanting, "This is awesome." Jey countered the spear with a super kick. Braun kicked out, but at this point, Paul Heyman was concerned. He got on the apron, and then Breakker went for a chair, but he got super kicked again. Heyman tripped Jey, and then Seth Rollins showed up. We got the predictable DQ finish. I figured we were going to get shenanigans in this one. Saw this coming. And then after the match was over, it was a 2-on-1 attack. But then Sami Zayn showed up. He wasn't alone. CM Punk came out there and got this massive reaction to the point where the crowd was actually singing the lyrics to his song. This is like something we get in Europe. Like only those European fans seem to know all the lyrics to the song. But the crowd was singing and they knew the lines to Punk's song. And they actually started brawling, which stopped the crowd singing. They should have let that go for a little bit longer. They should have called an audible and let the crowd sing until they were done. Because that was a pretty awesome moment. Maybe they didn't expect Greenville to have that kind of passion for CM Punk's music. Nonetheless, it was a cool moment. They were brawling, and then Logan Paul showed up and attacked Jey Uso, gave him the knockout punch. So Logan Paul did, in fact, get the last laugh before Saturday night's main event. But I really don't think anybody, even if Jey Uso got the last laugh, I don't think people were going to predict Logan Paul as the winner. So a good segment here. Pretty much what I expected. Predictable, but I thought it was well executed, and the crowd really elevated it. I have to say that. I did think Raw overall was fairly average. I mean, the wrestling was good, so I bump it up to like a 6 for that. The crowd, though, they were amazing. Like I said, one of the best WWE crowds in the US this year. I mean, they were close to those European crowds for just the passion. And in a way, I mean, sometimes you get a crowd that's better than the European crowds, because I feel like there are times where the European crowds, you know, they can get a little over the top with their soccer chants. But this is just the crowd that was into the baby faces, booing the heels, you know, just acting appropriately. So I thought this was a pretty good Raw overall. I think the wrestling was solid, so that brought it up a little above average. I would go with a 6 there, but the crowd adds another point. I'm going 7 this week. I went 6 last week. I think the crowd brought it up a little bit this time. 7 out of 10 for this week's Raw. Solid show before Saturday night's main event. Nice little lead up for that. Thanks, Ian, for the comment on the Walter White shirt. Glad you're watching Better Call Saul. Hope you're enjoying it. I'm sure you are. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And I like these Raws at the 2 hours and 30 minutes, you know, flew by pretty quickly, despite being just over 2 hours. You know, I do agree with Triple H. I think 2.5 hours seems to be a good length for the show. You know, 2 hours felt maybe a little bit short, and then 3 hours is too much. 2.5 seems to be the sweet spot. Maybe they'll do the same with SmackDown. At the very least, get it back to 2. And if you want to do 2.5, then I guess that would be fine. We'll see what they do. But I hope they scale back and stop with these 3-hour shows. That's all I got for Raw. Tune in next time. We got the No DQ review coming up Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And, of course, Dynamite on Wednesday and then SmackDown on Friday. And we do have the Saturday night's main event on Saturday. And we got Double or Nothing Sunday night. We got a busy week and weekend of wrestling. NoDQ.com will keep you covered for all that. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.